And we're back! We apologize for it taking so long, and as you can see, not everything has quite been moved over, hence why we're business casual right now. But hey, I've got a new desk, we've got some new series coming up down the pipeline, we're still doing the ginger ale thing, and we're still doing the weird jokes that aren't particularly funny. This week's, some people think Watson is the most popular fictional doctor, but come on now, we all know who is. Hey folks, welcome back to This Week in History, brought to you by our sponsors, Steve Stevens, Clayton Jaimez, the Hayes family, Patrick Freeman, and Mark Penn-Griffin. We appreciate the support from y'all, and we appreciate support from all of you, so go ahead and like this video, or subscribe if you haven't already. Anywho, let's get to it. On March 20th in 673, Emperor Tenmu of Japan assumed the Chrysanthemum throne, becoming Japan's 40th emperor and the first to actually be called emperor. By the way, the Japanese monarchy supposedly dates back to the 6th century BC and is the oldest hereditary monarchy in the world, and they're the only country to still have an emperor. Their current one, Naruhito, took over for his father in 2019. In 1600, the Linköping bloodbath took place in Linköping, Sweden, where 5 Swedish noblemen were publicly beheaded in the aftermath of the war against Sigismund. Sigismund being a Polish ruler, it was a whole thing. On March 21st in 1788, a fire in New Orleans destroyed 856 of the 1,100 buildings in the city. It only took 5 hours for the fire to spread, and it was only able to spread because it occurred on Good Friday, and officials refused to ring the church bells to warn people, but don't worry, that church burned down too. On March 22nd in 235, Roman Emperor Severus Alexander was murdered, marking the start of the crisis of the 3rd century, a 49-year series of civil wars, rebellions, invasions, plagues, and just overall bad conditions that only ended with the ascension of Diocletian as emperor. The empire was temporarily split into thirds, and yeah, this one deserves a video all of its own. On March 23rd in 1568, the Peace of Longjumeau was signed, ending the 2nd phase of the French Wars of Religion. The 3rd phase would begin before the end of the year, and there ended up being about 8 phases and lasted until 1598. On March 24th in 1199, King Richard I of England was wounded by a crossbow bolt while fighting in France. The Lionheart would end up dying from this wound on April 6th. Also, quick little fun fact here, March 24th is New Year's Eve for the parts of the world that still use the Julian calendar. On March 25th in 1708, a French fleet anchored off the coast of Scotland, bearing over 5,000 troops as part of a planned French invasion of Britain. During the War of the Spanish Succession, the British Navy caught up with them, however, and ended up chasing them back to France, causing the invasion to fail. In 1894, Coxey's army, the first significant American protest march, left Ohio heading for Washington, D.C. Though it began with only about 100 unemployed people angry about the depression that the country was going through, which was the largest that the country had until 1929, over 6,000 from across the country eventually made it to Washington. Also, fun fact, Coxey wound up being arrested for walking on the grass of the U.S. Capitol. On March 26th in 1885, the Metis people of the District of Saskatchewan began the Northwest Rebellion against Canada. Luckily, only 91 people died, which does not include 8 men that were hanged after it ended for their actions during, which is the largest hanging in Canada history. And that just could about do it for this week, but we'll see you back here next week. Same squirrel time, same squirrel channel. We promise this time. Be happy, be healthy, and y'all come back now, you hear?